Jake Morrison knew he was in serious trouble the moment his cargo ship started shaking. The control panel flashed red warnings across every screen. His engine was dying, and there was nothing he could do about it. "Come on, come on," Jake muttered, pulling hard on the controls. The ship refused to listen. It dropped toward the frozen moon below, like a rock falling from the sky. The impact was brutal. Metal screamed and twisted. Jake's head slammed against his seat, despite the safety straps. When everything finally stopped moving, he sat in darkness. His ears rang. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. Jake unbuckled himself with shaking hands. He grabbed his emergency pack and forced open the damaged door. Cold air rushed in immediately. So cold, it hurt to breathe. The moon's surface stretched out before him. Endless ice and rock under a dark purple sky. A massive gas giant hung overhead, filling half the horizon. His ship was ruined. The engine had torn itself apart. Jake checked his communication system, but it was dead. His distress beacon was working, though, sending out its automated signal. Help would come eventually. The question was whether he could survive long enough to see it. Jake explored the area around his ship, looking for anything useful. That was when he saw the other crash site. It was maybe half a mile away, partially hidden behind ice formations. Another ship had gone down here, and recently, from the looks of it. He trudged through the snow, his breath forming white clouds in the freezing air. As he got closer, Jake recognized the ship design. Zelthari. He had seen their vessels before at trading stations. They were a species known for being proud and formal, with crystalline skin that came in different colors. The Zelthari ship was small, probably a courier vessel. Its hull had cracked open on one side. Jake climbed through the opening carefully. Inside, emergency lights gave off a dim blue glow. The temperature was somehow even colder than outside. He found her in what looked like the pilot's chamber. A Zelthari female, collapsed on the floor. Her crystalline skin was a dull gray color, almost white. Jake had seen enough aliens to know that wasn't normal. She was barely breathing, her chest rising and falling so slowly he almost missed it. Jake knelt beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" No response. He touched her arm and pulled his hand back immediately. She was ice cold, colder than the metal floor around her. He checked the ship's systems and found the problem. Her heating unit had failed in the crash. The Zelthari were cold-blooded. Without heat, she was dying. He couldn't leave her here. Jake picked her up, surprised by how light she was. Her crystalline body felt fragile in his arms, like she might shatter. He carried her back to his ship, moving as quickly as he dared across the ice. Inside his cargo vessel, Jake had managed to get minimal life support working. It wasn't warm, but it was better than outside. He laid the Zelthari female on his sleeping pad and covered her with blankets. She didn't respond. Her skin remained that terrible gray-white color. Jake tried everything he could think of. He wrapped her in every blanket he had. He positioned her near the small heater he had working. Nothing helped. Her temperature wouldn't rise. She was still dying, just more slowly now. "Think, Morrison, think," Jake said to himself. The Zelthari needed heat. His ship couldn't provide enough. What else could generate heat out here? The answer came to him slowly. He could. Humans were warm-blooded. His body maintained a constant temperature, generating heat continuously. It was basic biology, the kind of heat that might save a freezing alien. Jake hesitated. The Zelthari were known for being very formal about physical contact. Their culture valued personal space, but she was unconscious and dying. Cultural concerns didn't matter if she was dead. He made his decision. Jake stripped off his heavy jacket but kept his thermal shirt on. He pulled the Zelthari female against him, wrapping them both in the emergency thermal blankets. Her crystalline body was shockingly cold against his chest. It was like hugging ice. Jake held her close, trying to share as much body heat as possible. Minutes passed. Then an hour. He kept checking her breathing, terrified it would stop. The cold from her body seeped into him, making him shiver despite the blankets. Slowly, very slowly, things began to change. The terrible gray-white color of her skin started to shift. Hints of blue appeared. Faint at first. Her breathing became a bit stronger. Jake felt her body gradually becoming less cold, though she was still far colder than any human. Night fell on the frozen moon. The temperature outside dropped even further. Jake kept holding the alien female, his arms wrapped around her crystalline form. He was exhausted but afraid to fall asleep. What if she stopped breathing? What if she got cold again? But eventually, exhaustion won. Jake's eyes closed despite his efforts. His last conscious thought was hoping they would both survive until morning. When Jake woke, the first thing he noticed was warmth against his chest. Not the warmth of another human, but something different. Less intense, but steady. He opened his eyes. The Zelthari female was looking at him. Her skin had changed to a soft blue color, no longer that deathly gray. But it was her eyes that caught Jake's attention. Large and crystalline, they reflected the dim light of the ship. She was staring at him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "You're awake," Jake said, relieved. "Thank God. I found you in your ship. You were freezing, so I brought you here. Are you okay?" She didn't answer immediately. Her hand, crystalline and delicate, reached up and pressed against his chest, right over his heart. Her eyes widened slightly. "Warm," she whispered. Her voice had a musical quality to it, like wind chimes. "So warm." "Yeah, well, humans run hot," Jake said with a nervous laugh. "Saved your life, I think. You were pretty close to dead when I found you. I'm Jake. By the way, Jake Morrison." "Vara," she said softly, still not taking her eyes off him. Her hand remained pressed against his chest. "You gave me your warmth. Just trying to help. Your heating system failed, and I didn't have enough equipment to warm you up properly. Body heat was all I had." Jake started to move, intending to give her some space now that she was conscious. "You should be okay now. Let me check my supplies and see what food I have." Vara's hand gripped his shirt. Not hard, but firm enough to stop him. "Don't move," she said. "Not yet." Jake froze. There was something in her voice, something he couldn't quite identify. "Vara, you're awake now. You don't need me to." "Your heart," she interrupted, her crystalline fingers spreading across his chest. "I can feel it beating. I have never felt anything like this before. So warm, so alive." The way she said it made Jake nervous. He had saved her life. That was good. But the way she was looking at him, the way she was touching him, suggested something more than simple gratitude. "We should probably get up," Jake said carefully. "I need to work on getting a distress signal out. Help will come eventually. But we need to make sure they can find us." Vara finally released him, but her blue, crystalline eyes never left his face. As Jake stood and moved away, he felt her gaze following him across the small ship. It made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. He had saved her life. What Jake didn't know yet was what that meant to Zelthari. What he didn't understand was that his simple act of warmth had just changed both of their lives forever. Morning light filtered through the damaged hull of Jake's ship. He woke to find Vara still pressed against his side, her crystalline form wrapped around his arm. Her skin had turned a deeper blue color overnight, much healthier looking than the gray she had been when he found her. Jake tried to ease away carefully, not wanting to wake her. But the moment he moved, her eyes opened. Those large, crystalline eyes locked onto him immediately. "Good morning," Jake said. "How are you feeling?" "Better," Vara replied. She didn't move away from him. If anything, she pressed closer. "Much better." "Vara. Vara. Vara. That's great. Listen, I should get up and work on the ship. See if I can fix the communication system." Jake tried to sit up. Vara's hand caught his arm. "Stay," she said simply. I can't just stay in bed all day. We need to call for help. Jake gently pulled his arm free and stood. Vara remained on the sleeping pad, watching him with those intense eyes. Jake went to work on the communication panel. The crash had damaged most of his systems. He could fix some of it with time, but the main transmitter was beyond his skills. Their only hope was the distress beacon, which would eventually bring rescue ships. He became aware of Vara standing behind him, very close behind him. He could feel the coolness of her crystalline body, even through his clothes. Do you need something? Jake asked without turning around. You are warm, Vara said. It wasn't an answer to his question, just a statement of fact. Yeah, humans tend to be. Jake continued working on the panel. Vara moved closer. Her hand touched his back, right between his shoulder blades. Jake jumped. Vara, personal space, please. Personal space? She sounded confused. It means you're standing too close. Humans like a bit of distance unless we're, close friends or family. Vara stepped back slightly, but only slightly. We shared warmth through the night. Does that not make us close? That was survival. You needed heat, and I provided it. It doesn't mean we're close friends. Jake turned to look at her. The blue of her skin had darkened slightly. Are you okay? Your color changed. I am fine, Vara said, but something in her voice suggested otherwise. She moved away, going to examine the cargo containers on the other side of the ship. Jake worked through the morning, checking their supplies. Food wouldn't be a problem for about a week. Water was tight but manageable. The real issue was temperature. His small heater could barely keep the ship above freezing during the day. At night, temperatures on this moon dropped to deadly levels. Vara, Jake called out. What's the safe temperature range for your species? She looked up from where she had been organizing his spare parts. Zelthari function best between 15 and 30 degrees Celsius. We can survive down to 5 degrees for limited periods. Below that, we enter cold shock and eventually die. Jake checked his thermometer. The ship was currently at 8 degrees. When night came, it would drop to -20 or worse. His heater couldn't fight that kind of cold. We have a problem, Jake said. Tonight is going to be as cold as last night. Maybe colder. My heater can't keep the ship warm enough for you. Vara's crystalline skin shifted through several shades of blue. Then, we repeat what we did last night. You share your warmth with me. Yeah, looks like it. Jake rubbed the back of his neck. It felt awkward, planning to cuddle with an alien he had just met. But what choice did they have? Just until rescue comes. Shouldn't be more than a few days. Of course, Vara agreed. Until rescue. The rest of the day passed strangely. Vara followed Jake everywhere. When he went to check the ship's exterior, she came with him despite the cold. When he prepared a meal from their combined rations, she stood close enough that he could feel the coolness radiating from her body. When he tried to work on the solar panels, she handed him tools before he asked for them. Vara, you don't need to follow me around, Jake said finally. I'm just doing basic maintenance. I want to help, she said. Then you could work on inventorying the supplies in your ship. See what else we can use. I would rather stay with you. Vara touched his shoulder. Her crystalline fingers light against his jacket. You are the only source of warmth on this frozen rock. Why would I move away from that? Jake couldn't really argue with her logic. From her perspective, he was a walking heater in a deadly cold environment. Of course she wanted to stay close. But something about the way she looked at him bothered Jake. It wasn't just practical. There was something else in her crystalline eyes. Something almost possessive. Evening came too quickly. The temperature began dropping, as the gas giant blocked the distant sun. Jake felt the cold creeping into the ship, despite the heater running at full power. Time for the warmth protocol, Jake announced, trying to keep his tone light. Same as last night? Yes, Vara said immediately. She had already moved to the sleeping pad and was arranging the thermal blankets. Jake settled down next to her, and Vara pressed herself against him without hesitation. Her crystalline body was cold, but not as terribly cold as the night before. She wrapped an arm across his chest and tucked her head under his chin. "Comfortable?" Jake asked. "Very," Vara murmured. Her fingers spread across his chest, right over his heart again. "Your heartbeat is strong. Comes with being alive," Jake joked weakly. They lay in silence for a while. Jake tried not to think about how strange this situation was. He was cuddling with an alien to keep her from freezing to death. If his friends back on Earth could see him now, they would never let him hear the end of it. "Jake," Vara said softly. "Yeah? Among my people, body heat is something we can only take from our environment. We cannot generate it ourselves. We can share cold, but never warmth. I guess that makes sense for cold-blooded species. Do you understand what I am saying?" Vara's hand pressed firmer against his chest. "You are giving me something no Zelthari has ever experienced. Warmth from another living being. Warmth that is freely given and constantly renewed." Jake didn't like where this was going. "It's just biology. Humans maintain constant body temperature. It's not special. It's just how we work." "It is special to me," Vara insisted. Her crystalline skin began to glow faintly in the darkness. Soft blue light pulsing in patterns. "I have never felt anything like this. When I am close to you, I feel safe. Protected. Warm in a way that has no words in my language. Vara, listen. I'm helping you survive. That's all this is. When rescue comes, you'll go back to your people, and I'll go back to mine. This is temporary." Silence filled the ship. Jake felt Vara's body go very still against him. "Temporary," she repeated. Her voice had changed, become harder. "You think this is temporary? Well, yeah. What else would it be?" Vara raised herself up on one elbow, looking down at Jake in the dim light. Her skin had darkened to a deep blue, almost purple. "You do not understand what you have done." "What I've done? I saved your life." "Yes," Vara said. "You saved me. You held me through the cold. You gave me your warmth when I was dying. You wrapped yourself around me and let me absorb your heat. Do you think such a thing comes without meaning?" Jake's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" Xelthari bond through temperature exchange. "When two of my kind share their cold, it creates connection. But you are not sharing cold. You are giving me something infinitely more precious. Warmth. Living warmth. Constant warmth." Vara's hand trembled against his chest. "You have no idea what that does to me. What it means." "I was just trying to keep you alive," Jake protested. "Intentions do not change results." Vara lowered herself back down, pressing her entire body against his. "I can feel your warmth even when I am across the ship. It calls to me. Draws me. I want to be close to you every moment. When you moved away this morning, I felt cold despite the temperature being adequate. Cold inside, not outside. That's just because you're still recovering." "No," Vara said firmly. "It is because you are mine now, and I am yours." "Vara, that's crazy. We just met yesterday. Time is irrelevant. You gave me life. You give me warmth. In my culture, in my biology, that creates a bond. An unbreakable one." She was quiet for a moment. "I did not choose this. But I cannot fight it either. You are the keeper of warmth. And I cannot let you go." Jake lay awake long after Vara fell asleep. Her words echoed in his mind. She thought they were bonded because he had kept her warm. That was insane. He was just doing what any decent person would do in the same situation. But as he felt her crystalline body pressed against him, as he felt her fingers gripping his shirt even in sleep, Jake wondered if she might be right. Something had changed when he held her through that first night, something he didn't understand. Vara's skin glowed softly in the darkness, pulsing with that deep blue color, the color of someone who had bonded. Jake closed his eyes and tried not to think about what that meant for both of them. Jake woke on the third morning to find Vara wrapped completely around him. Her legs were tangled with his, her arms encircled his chest, and her face was pressed against his neck. It took him several minutes to carefully extract himself without waking her. He made breakfast from their rations, trying to think through the situation. 3 days on this frozen moon. Rescue could come any time, or it could be another week. Either way, he needed to maintain some kind of normal routine. He couldn't spend all his time wrapped around an alien who thought they were bonded. Vara woke and immediately looked around the ship until her eyes found him. Her crystalline skin brightened from dark blue to lighter shades. "Good morning," Jake said, keeping his voice neutral. "I made breakfast. There's protein bars and some fruit packets." Vara came to him immediately, standing close enough that their arms touched. "Thank you." They ate in silence. Jake noticed Vara kept glancing at him between bites. Every time he shifted position, her eyes followed the movement. "I'm going to work on the ship today," Jake announced. "Try to improve the heating system. Maybe I can get us a few more degrees of warmth, so you don't freeze at night." "I will help," Vara said immediately. "Actually, it would be better if you checked the supplies in your ship. We might have missed something useful." Number said. 2000 plus. Vara's skin darkened. "You want me to leave? I want you to be productive. We both need to pull our weight here. I would be more productive staying with you." Vara moved closer, her hand reaching for his arm. Jake stepped back. "Personal space, remember? We talked about this." "I do not want personal space from you," Vara said. Her voice had an edge to it now. "Why do you keep moving away?" "Because this is weird," Jake said honestly. "You're acting like we're married or something. We're just two people who crashed on the same moon. That's it. React. React. React." Vara's crystalline skin flashed through several colors rapidly, blue to purple to almost black. "That is not all this is. You know it is not. Look, you said your people bond through temperature or whatever, but I'm not Zelthari. I don't feel whatever you're feeling. To me, this is just survival." "Just survival," Vara repeated. She turned away from him, her shoulders rigid. "You truly believe that? What else could it be?" Vara was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter. "Have you noticed that I can sense where you are without looking? That I know when you move across the ship, even with my back turned?" Jake frowned. "No, I haven't noticed that." "I have. I can feel your heat signature like a beacon. When you walked to the other side of the ship just now, I felt the warmth move with you." Vara turned back to face him. Her eyes were intense. "This morning, when I woke and you were not beside me, I felt cold. Actually cold. Despite the temperature being adequate. The moment I saw you, the cold vanished. That doesn't mean anything. You're still recovering. I am fully recovered. What I am feeling now is withdrawal." Vara stepped toward him. Jake held his ground this time. "Without regular contact with your warmth, my body reacts as if I am freezing. It is biological. Instinctual. I cannot control it. Then we'll figure out a solution when rescue comes. There must be medical treatment or something." "There is no treatment. The bond is permanent." Vara's hands curled into fists. "Why are you fighting this so hard? Would it be so terrible to accept what has happened? Because I didn't agree to any bond," Jake said, frustration creeping into his voice. "I was trying to save your life. That's it. I'm not looking for a relationship, or a bond, or whatever you want to call it. You think I wanted this?" Vara's voice rose. "You think I chose to bond with a human I had never met? This happened to me, not by my choice. But I am accepting it. Why can you not do the same? Because this is insane." Jake ran his hands through his hair. "We can't be bonded. I barely know you. You know I was dying and you saved me. You know I am alone and you gave me shelter. You know I am cold and you give me warmth." Vara moved closer with each statement. "What else do you need to know?" "Everything. Your family, your job, your life before the crash. Normal things people know about each other." "Then ask me," Vara challenged. Ask me anything. Jake opened his mouth, then closed it again. She was right. He could ask, but would knowing more about her make this situation any easier? I need to work on the ship, Jake said instead. He grabbed his tools and headed for the damaged heating system. Vara followed him. Of course she did. Jake tried to focus on the repairs, but it was impossible with Vara standing right behind him. He could feel the cold radiating from her crystalline body. After an hour of this, he snapped. Can you please give me some space? No, Vara said simply. No? No. I will not leave your side unless you order me to. And even then, I will resist. Her voice was calm but firm. You are mine, Jake Morrison. Whether you accept it or not does not change the truth. I'm not yours, Jake said through gritted teeth. I'm my own person. You are the keeper of my warmth. That makes you mine. I am bonded to you. That makes me yours. Vara moved around to face him. These are facts. Your denial does not change them. Jake set down his tools. This wasn't working. Fine. Explain it to me. Explain exactly what this bond means. Vara's expression softened slightly. Xelthari bond through temperature exchange. When we share our cold with another, it creates connection. Family bonds, friendship bonds, mate bonds. All formed through the willing exchange of cold. But I'm giving you warmth, not cold. Exactly. What you give me is something no Xelthari can provide. Warmth from a living source, constant, renewable, freely given. It triggers the deepest bonding instincts my species has. Vara's hand pressed against his chest again, right over his heart. My body recognizes you as my thermal mate, the one who provides what I cannot create myself, the one who keeps me alive through his own living warmth. But I didn't mean to trigger anything. I was just helping. I know, but that does not change what has happened. Vara's eyes met his. Without you, I will survive. But I will feel cold every day for the rest of my life. Not cold temperature, cold inside, empty, as if part of me is missing. Jake pulled away from her touch. That's not fair. You're making me responsible for your happiness. I am not making you responsible. You became responsible the moment you chose to save me. Vara's skin flashed dark purple. If you had left me to die in my ship, none of this would have happened. But you did not. You carried me here. You held me. You gave me your warmth. Those were your choices. So this is my fault? It is no one's fault. Vara's voice cracked. Do you think I wanted to become dependent on a human? Do you think this is easy for me? My family will be horrified. My people will question my judgment, but I cannot change what my body has decided. You are my thermal mate. I need you. You don't need me. You need heat. Any heat source would work. No, Vara said firmly. I tried this morning while you slept. I sat by your heater for an hour. It provided warmth but not comfort. Not the feeling of safety. Not the sense of rightness. She moved closer again. Only you provide that. Only your warmth satisfies what my body craves. Jake felt trapped. Vara's crystalline eyes were pleading now, her skin shifting through colors he didn't understand. He had saved her because it was the right thing to do. How had that turned into this? I need time to think, Jake said finally. Time will not change anything, Vara replied. But I will give you space. For now. She moved to the other side of the ship. Jake watched her go. Noting how her skin darkened, the farther she got from him. She sat down heavily, wrapping her arms around herself. Even from across the ship, Jake could see her shivering slightly despite the temperature being stable. He tried to work. He really did. But his eyes kept drifting to Vara. She looked miserable. Her skin had turned almost gray again. And she kept glancing in his direction with barely concealed longing. After an hour, Jake couldn't take it anymore. Come here. Vara was beside him in seconds. The moment she got close, her skin brightened back to healthy blue. She didn't touch him, but she stood close enough that he could feel the cold from her body. Better? Jake asked. Yes. Vara said quietly. Much better. They worked side by side in silence. Vara handed him tools when he needed them. She held pieces steady while he welded. She didn't speak unless spoken to, but her presence was constant, like a cool shadow that followed him everywhere. That night, when they settled into the thermal blankets again, Vara wrapped around him more tightly than ever before. Her body molded against his, seeking every possible point of contact. You are thinking of refusing the bond when rescue comes, Vara said into the darkness. Jake didn't answer. I can tell from your body language. The way you pull away during the day. The way you avoid touching me unless necessary. Vara's voice was sad. You want to leave me behind. I want my life back, Jake admitted. The life I had before I crashed on this moon. That life is gone, for both of us. Vara's fingers curled into his shirt. When rescue comes, you can try to leave. You can insist we separate. It will be allowed. Humans do not recognize thermal bonds. Then why are you so worried? Because it will hurt, Vara whispered. It will hurt me more than dying would have. To have found my thermal mate and then lose him? That is a pain I do not know if I can survive. Jake lay awake long after Vara fell asleep. Her words kept repeating in his mind. The life he had before was gone. She was right about that. Nothing would be the same after this. Just before dawn, the distress beacon chirped. Jake's eyes snapped open. He carefully reached for his console without disturbing Vara. The screen showed what he had been waiting for. Multiple ships had entered the system. Rescue was coming. But as Jake looked down at the alien wrapped around him, her crystalline skin glowing softly in sleep, he wondered if rescue would solve anything or just make everything more complicated. The rescue ships arrived 12 hours after the distress beacon made contact. Jake watched from his damaged viewport as 3 vessels descended toward the frozen moon. 2 were Xelthari diplomatic cruisers, sleek and crystalline. The third was a human cargo hauler converted for rescue operations. Vara stood beside him, her hand gripping his arm tightly. Her skin had turned a dark blue, almost black. They are here. Yeah, Jake tried to sound encouraging. We'll finally get off this frozen rock. You mean you will finally be free of me, Vara said quietly. Before Jake could respond, the comm system crackled to life. This is Rescue Team Gamma approaching crash site. Identify survivors. Jake keyed the comm. Jake Morrison, human cargo pilot. And Vara, Xelthari diplomatic courier. Both alive and mostly healthy. There was a pause. Then a different voice spoke, this one with the musical quality of a Xelthari. Vara of House Keleth? Is that truly you? Vara's grip on Jake's arm tightened. Yes, Eldereth, it is me. The ancestors be praised. We feared you were lost. How did you survive the cold? Vara glanced at Jake. Her crystalline eyes were filled with something like dread. The human kept me warm. He shared his body heat through the nights. Another pause, longer this time. We will dock shortly. Prepare for extraction. The next hour was chaos. Rescue teams in environmental suits entered Jake's ship. Medical scanners were waved over both of them. Questions were asked in rapid succession. Through it all, Vara never let go of Jake's arm. Her fingers dug into his jacket like claws. A Xelthari elder, her crystalline skin a pale silver with age, approached them. Her eyes went immediately to where Vara gripped Jake's arm. The elder's skin color shifted subtly. Child, the elder said gently, you may release the human now. You are safe. No, Vara said. Her voice was firm despite the trembling Jake could feel through her hand. Vara, we must conduct medical examinations. We must ensure you are unharmed. I will not release him. The elder's gaze shifted to Jake. Human, you have my deepest gratitude for saving this child's life, but you may step away now. We will care for her. Jake tried to move. Vara's grip became painful. Vara, let me go. They need to check you out. No. Her skin flashed through colors rapidly. You stay with me, or I stay with you. Those are the only options. The human rescue team leader, a tired-looking woman named Karen Hayes, approached. Mr. Morrison, is there a problem here? I think so, Jake said carefully. Vara seems to believe we're bonded or something. She won't let me leave. Karen's expression shifted to concern. Bonded? What kind of bonded? The Zelthari elder's skin had gone very pale. Show me your skin, child. All of it. Challer, Vara slowly pulled back her sleeve, revealing her crystalline arm. The entire surface was a deep, rich blue, with patterns of lighter blue running through it like veins. The patterns pulsed gently, in rhythm with her breathing. The elder made a sound like wind through chimes. No, this cannot be. What? Jake asked. What does it mean? It means, the elder said heavily, that Vara has formed a thermal bond, the deepest kind, the permanent kind. The human rescue team exchanged glances. Karen stepped forward. I need someone to explain what that means in practical terms. The elder gestured toward a seating area. Perhaps we should all sit. This will take some explanation. They gathered in the small space. Vara refused to sit separately, pressing herself against Jake's side. The rescue teams from both species watched with various expressions of concern and curiosity. Zelthari bond through temperature exchange, the elder began. It is how we form all relationships. Family, friends, mates. The sharing of our natural cold creates connection. But humans are warm-blooded, Karen said. Exactly. What this human provided Vara was something no Zelthari can give. Living warmth. Constant warmth. Freely offered. The elder's gaze was sad as she looked at Vara. For a Zelthari to receive such warmth, especially in a life-or-death situation, triggers our deepest bonding instincts. Vara has bonded to this human as a thermal mate. Can it be undone? Jake asked. No. The answer came from Vara, fierce and immediate. It cannot. It will not. Vara speaks truth, the elder confirmed. Thermal bonds are permanent. They are biological, not simply emotional. Her body now recognizes this human as her source of vital warmth. Without him, she will suffer. How badly? Karen asked. She will survive, the elder said. But she will experience constant discomfort, a feeling of cold that no external heat can satisfy. Depression, anxiety. For some, the pain is unbearable. Jake felt like he had been punched. So, you're saying she needs me? Her body believes she needs you, yes. But that's not fair, Jake protested. I was just trying to save her life. I didn't agree to any bond. The elder nodded sympathetically. I understand. This is not your culture. Not your biology. You did not consent to this bond. So I can refuse it? You can, the elder said. Human law will support your right to leave. We cannot force you to accept a bond you did not choose. Jake felt relief wash over him. He could walk away. This nightmare would end. Then Vara made a sound, a small, broken sound like crystal cracking. Jake looked down at her. Tears were forming in her crystalline eyes. Actual tears that sparkled like diamonds. You will leave me, Vara said. It wasn't a question. After everything, you will leave. Vara, I didn't choose this. You can't expect me to give up my whole life because of an accident. An accident. Vara's tears fell now, tracking down her crystalline cheeks. That is what I am to you. An accident. She released his arm suddenly, standing up. Her skin had turned almost gray. Then go. I will not force this bond on you. I will not make you stay against your will. Vara walked away from him, moving to stand with the Zelthari elder. Her whole body trembled, and her skin kept flickering between gray and that deep bonded blue. Jake stood there, feeling like the worst person alive. Everyone was staring at him. The human rescue team looked uncomfortable. The Zelthari looked disappointed. I need to speak with Vara alone, a new voice said. Another Zelthari had entered. This one with skin that shimmered with authority. I am Sira of House Keleth, Vara's aunt. The elder nodded. Of course. Lady Sarah. Sarah approached Vara, speaking to her in their own language. Then she turned to Jake. Human, you have saved my niece's life. For that, you have the eternal gratitude of House Keleth. But you have also complicated her life in ways you cannot imagine. I didn't mean to, Jake said helplessly. Intentions matter little when dealing with biological imperatives. Sira's gaze was sharp. My niece is from a high-ranking family. She was on an important diplomatic mission when she crashed. Her bonding to a human cargo pilot is unprecedented. Scandalous, even. Then you should be happy I'm refusing the bond. Happy? Sira's laugh was bitter. I am not happy to watch my niece suffer. I am not happy to see her return home broken by a bond she cannot fulfill. I am simply realistic about the political complications. What do you want from me? Jake asked. I want you to understand what your choice means. If you walk away, Vara will return to her duties. She will serve her family and her people. But she will be cold inside for the rest of her life. Every day, she will feel the absence of the warmth you gave her. She will function, but she will never be whole. Sarah paused. Is that what you want? Of course it's not what I want, Jake said. But I can't be responsible for her happiness. That's too much to ask. No one is asking you to be responsible for her happiness. We are simply asking you to consider whether refusing this bond is worth the pain it will cause. Sira glanced at Vara, who stood with her back to them, her shoulders shaking. Look at her. Really look at her. Then ask yourself what kind of man you want to be. Sarah left him standing there. Jake did look at Vara. Really looked at her. She was trying so hard to be strong, to accept his decision. But her body betrayed her pain. Her skin flickered between colors, her hands clenched and unclenched. And she kept glancing back at him with desperate hope in her crystalline eyes. Karen approached quietly. That's a rough situation. Tell me about it, Jake muttered. For what it's worth. I don't think you're wrong to want your life back. No one should be forced into a relationship they don't want. Karen paused. But I've seen a lot of things in my years doing rescue work. And I've learned that sometimes the right thing and the easy thing aren't the same. What would you do? Jake asked. I don't know. But I'd probably ask myself one question. Karen looked at Vara. Could you live with yourself knowing she's suffering? And you had the power to stop it? The rescue teams gave them time to rest and eat real food. Vara stayed on the Zelthari ship. Jake stayed on the human one. They were separated for the first time in 3 days. Jake should have felt relieved. Instead, he felt empty. Cold. Almost. Though the ship's temperature was comfortable, he tried to sleep but couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Vara's face. The way she had looked at him when he held her that first night. The way her skin had glowed when she was near him. The way she had cried when he said he wanted to leave. She hadn't asked for this. She hadn't chosen to bond to him any more than he had chosen to bond to her. But she was accepting it. Trying to make the best of it. While he was running away, was that the kind of man he wanted to be? Someone who saved a life, but then abandoned the person when they needed him most? Jake sat up in bed. He knew what he had to do. The question was whether he had the courage to do it. Morning came. Jake requested a meeting with both teams. They gathered in the Zelthari ship's common area. Vara stood at the back. Her skin pale gray. She wouldn't meet his eyes. I've made my decision, Jake announced. Every eye turned to him. I'll honor the bond. Vara's head snapped up. Her skin brightened instantly from gray to brilliant blue. Are you certain? The elder asked. This is a permanent choice. I'm certain. I'm not saying this will be easy. I'm not saying I fully understand it. But Vara didn't choose to crash on that moon, and she didn't choose to bond to me. What she did choose was to try and make this work. The least I can do is give her the same effort. Jake looked at Vara. I'm not abandoning you. Whatever this bond means, we'll figure it out together. Vara crossed the distance between them in seconds. She threw herself at Jake. wrapping around him like she had during those cold nights. Her skin blazed with color, patterns of light flowing through her crystalline form. "Thank you," she whispered against his chest. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Jake held her, feeling her cold body pressed against him. It should have felt strange. It should have felt wrong. But somehow, it felt right. 3 months had passed since the rescue from the frozen moon. Jake sat in the pilot's chair of his new ship, watching the stars slide by through the viewport. The ship was bigger than his old cargo vessel, with proper living quarters and a heating system that actually worked. "Coffee is ready," Vara announced from behind him. She set a cup on the console within his reach. "Thanks." Jake took a sip, appreciating the warmth. Real coffee, not the synthetic stuff he used to drink. Vara settled into the co-pilot's chair, her crystalline form reflecting the soft lights of the console. Her skin was a healthy medium blue, the color she maintained when content. Jake had learned to read her colors over the past months. Blue meant happy, dark blue meant possessive, gray meant upset, purple meant worried. Right now, she was definitely happy. "The cargo manifest shows we are picking up medical supplies from Station Harmony," Vara said, pulling up the information on her screen. "Delivery to the mining colony on Kepler 7. Standard run. Should be easy money," Jake agreed. "No pirates reported in that sector lately. I checked the route 3 times. Also verified the security ratings of every station we pass." Vara's fingers moved across the controls with practiced ease. She had learned human ship systems quickly, becoming an excellent co-pilot. "We should arrive at Station Harmony in 4 hours." Jake smiled. Vara's overprotective nature showed itself in little ways like this. Triple-checking routes. Verifying security. Always scanning for threats. At first, it had annoyed him. Now he found it endearing. "You know I flew cargo runs for years before meeting you, right?" Jake teased. "I know. But you did not have me to protect you then." Vara's tone was completely serious. "And how many times have you saved me in the past 3 months?" "Twice," Vara said immediately. "Once when that power coupling was about to overload, which you did not notice because you were focused on navigation, and once when that drunk trader at Station Omega tried to start a fight with you. The drunk guy doesn't count. I could have handled him. He was reaching for a weapon. I saw it before you did." Vara's skin darkened slightly with the memory. "No one threatens my thermal mate." Jake reached over and squeezed her hand gently. Her skin warmed under his touch, a phenomenon he still didn't fully understand. Zelthari were cold-blooded, but Vara seemed to absorb and hold his warmth for hours after contact. "I appreciate you looking out for me," Jake said. Vara's color brightened back to happy blue. "It is my purpose, my joy." They had established a routine over the past months. Jake ran his cargo business while Vara handled logistics and security. They shared the piloting duties. They took turns cooking meals, though Vara's Zelthari recipes were still a challenge for Jake's human digestive system. And every night, they slept, pressed together. Not just for warmth anymore, but because neither of them could sleep well alone. The bond had deepened. Becoming more than just biological necessity, they had become partners in the truest sense. "Jake," Vara said, pulling him from his thoughts, "I have been meaning to ask you something." "What's up? Are you happy?" Vara's crystalline eyes studied him carefully. "With this life. With me." Jake considered the question seriously. 3 months ago, he would have answered differently. 3 months ago, he had been terrified of losing his freedom, of being tied to someone he barely knew. "Yeah," Jake said, "I am happy. It's different from the life I had before, but not worse. Maybe better in some ways." "Better?" Vara sounded surprised. "How? I'm not alone anymore. Running cargo by yourself gets lonely after a while. Having a partner, someone to talk to, someone who has my back." Jake smiled. "Even if that partner is a possessive alien who thinks I need constant protection." "You do need constant protection," Vara insisted, but she was smiling too. Her version of smiling, anyway, which involved her skin glowing brighter, and her eyes crinkling slightly. They arrived at Station Harmony without incident. The station was a massive wheel spinning slowly in space, home to thousands of beings from dozens of species. Jake and Vara docked and headed into the station to verify the cargo. As always, they drew stares. A human and Jelthari walking together was unusual enough, but Vara's coloring marked her as bonded. And anyone familiar with Zelthari culture could see what that meant. Some looked curious. Some looked disapproving. Vara ignored them all, staying close to Jake's side. The cargo was ready and accounted for. Medical supplies, carefully packed and labeled. Jake signed the transfer documents, while Vara supervised the loading process. She checked every crate personally, verifying seals and contents. "You know they already checked all this, right?" Jake said. "Trust, but verify," Vara replied. It was a human saying she had adopted as her personal motto. They were almost done when Jake noticed a group of humans watching them from across the dock. 3 men. Rough-looking types. Spacers. Maybe. Or dock workers. One of them nudged another and pointed at Vara. Jake tensed. He had dealt with enough bigots over the past months to recognize the signs. "Hey, human," one of them called out. "What's it like having a pet rock?" Jake's hands clenched into fists. Vara touched his arm gently, her skin flashing dark purple with worry. "Ignore them," she said quietly. "Yeah, ignore us," another man laughed. "We're just curious how you train it to follow you around." "She's not an it," Jake said, his voice hard. "And she's not a pet. She's my partner." "Partner?" The first man snorted. "Right. Bet she's real fun when the lights go out. Do you worry about getting cut on all those sharp edges?" The other men laughed. Jake took a step toward them. Vara moved faster. She positioned herself between Jake and the men, her crystalline form somehow seeming larger and more threatening. "You will not speak to him that way," Vara said. Her voice was cold, colder than Jake had ever heard it. Her skin had turned almost black, patterns of red running through it. He had never seen that color before. The men's laughter died. One of them actually stepped back. "We don't want trouble," the first man said, suddenly nervous. "Then leave. Now." Vara's crystalline skin had begun to spike outward, sharp points forming along her arms and shoulders. "Or learn what happens when you threaten a Zelthari's thermal mate." The men left quickly, practically running. Vara watched them go, before her skin slowly returned to normal. The spikes retracted, and the red faded back to dark blue. "Are you all right?" Jake asked. "I am fine." They were cowards. Vara turned to him, her eyes fierce. "No one insults you in my presence. No one. Vara, you were ready to fight 3 humans for me. I would fight 300 humans for you. 3,000. As many as it took." Vara's hand found his. "You are mine to protect." Jake pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her crystalline forehead. She had learned to tolerate and even enjoy physical affection, though it was still unusual for her species. "Thank you," he said. They finished loading the cargo and departed Station Harmony. The jump to Kepler 7 would take 2 days. Long enough to relax, to eat meals together, to talk about everything and nothing. That night, as they prepared for sleep, Jake realized how comfortable this had all become. Vara's cold body pressed against his warm one. Her crystalline arms wrapped around him, her soft breathing against his neck. "I have been thinking," Vara said into the darkness. "About what?" "About the frozen moon. About the crash." She was quiet for a moment. "If I could go back, knowing what would happen, I would crash there again. I would choose this bond. I would choose you." Jake tightened his arms around her. "Yeah?" "Yes, without question. You have given me more than warmth, Jake Morrison. You have given me purpose, partnership, something I did not even know I was missing." "Funny," Jake said. "I was just thinking the same thing." They lay in comfortable silence. Jake thought back to that first night on the frozen moon. How terrified he had been of this bond. How sure he had been that it would ruin his life. He had been wrong. The bond hadn't ruined anything. It had just changed things. Changed him. Vera? Yes? I'm glad I didn't leave you in that crashed ship. So am I. Vara's fingers traced patterns on his chest. Right over his heart. So am I. Vara's fingers. Vara's fingers. The next day brought new challenges. They were halfway to Kepler 7 when the ship's sensors picked up something unusual. A debris field, fresh by the looks of it, and within that field, a small escape pod. Life signs? Jake asked, already altering course. Vara checked her console. 1. Faint but present. The pod is losing power. We have to help them. Agreed. Vara was already calculating the retrieval trajectory. But Jake, this could be a trap. Pirates sometimes fake distress signals. I know, but we can't just leave someone to die. Vara nodded. She understood. It was one of the things she loved about humans. Their inability to ignore someone in need. Even when it might be dangerous, they approached the pod carefully. Weapons ready just in case. But there was no ambush. Just one terrified Zelthari child, barely old enough to fly, whose ship had been attacked by raiders. Vara took charge immediately, warming the child with heated blankets and providing food. The child stared at Jake with wide crystalline eyes. A human, the child whispered. But you are so warm. Vara smiled, a real smile that made her whole face glow. Yes. Humans are very warm. This one is mine. Yours? The child looked confused. My thermal mate. The keeper of my warmth. Vara glanced at Jake with such open affection that it made his chest tight. The best thing that ever happened to me. Jake contacted the child's family while Vara kept her comfortable. They would make a slight detour to return the child home. It would delay their delivery, but some things were more important than schedules. As Jake plotted the new course, he felt Vara's hand on his shoulder. He reached up and covered it with his own. 3 months ago, he had cuddled an alien to keep her from freezing. Now, he couldn't imagine his life without her. They delivered the Zeltari child safely home to her grateful family. Then they continued on to Kepler 7 with their medical supplies. The delay meant they arrived late, but the colony administrator understood once Jake explained about the rescue. You did the right thing, the administrator said. A few hours' delay is nothing compared to a child's life. As they departed Kepler 7, Jake received a new job offer. A dangerous run through contested space, delivering equipment to a research station. The pay was excellent, but the risk was high. What do you think? Jake asked Vara. She studied the route carefully, her analytical mind working through the possibilities. I think we can do it. With proper planning and caution. You're not worried. I am always worried when you are in danger, but I am also confident in our abilities. Vara's skin glowed with determination. Besides, you have me. Together, we can handle anything. Jake initiated the jump to their next destination. As the stars blurred around them, he felt Vara press against his side, her cold body fitting perfectly against his warm one. 2 halves of an unlikely whole, he had cuddled for survival on a frozen moon. Now, 3 months later, Vara insisted he was hers forever, and somewhere along the way, Jake had decided that being hers forever wasn't the worst fate in the universe. It might actually be the best thing that ever happened to him. The ship jumped into hyperspace, carrying its human pilot and his Zelthari mate toward their next adventure. Different species, different biology, different cultures, but partners in every way that mattered, and Jake Morrison, cargo pilot turned thermal mate, wouldn't have it any other way.